everyone. So now let us we discuss about the sociological criticism. My name is Albert Kawasan. My partner is Arvi Shane Abaygar. So let's talk about first the sociological criticism. We all know from the word itself that sociology it is the study of social life and the social change and the social process and consequences of human behavior. Sociology Sociologists investigate the structure of groups, organization, and societies, and how people interact within this context. So let's dig in. Who founded the sociological criticism? So the first one is George Lukács. Actually, George Lukács is the proponent of a Marxist approach that somehow he believed that the content is determines the form and therefore all art is political and also the views of the author will be biased for his work. And also we have that Terry Eagleton. So Terry Eagleton, he believed that literature is an industry as the books are commodities by publisher. And literature is a social practice and according to also the Kenneth Berg. He introduced also the idea of sociological criticism. Actually, Kenneth Berg has a published a work which is the living movement, which is him to him as it deals with human consciousness, introduced there the idea of sociological criticism. So let's talk about what is sociological criticism. So sociological criticism this analyze the social context of a literary work and sometimes it examines the early society to better understand the author's literary. So this means to analyze the social context of a literary works. This involves delving into the societal mind that shaped the author's perspective and consequently influencing the creation of their literary masterpiece. So by examining the artist's society, readers can gain deeper insight into underlying motivations, beliefs, and values embedded in the work. So next is explores the relationship between the artist and society. So this examining the artist-society relationship to entails investigating how societal dynamics shape an artist's perspective, conversely, and how the artist's creations influence or reflect the broader societal context. So last is sociological criticism focuses on the examination of literature in cultural, economic, and political context in which it is written or received. So sociological criticism involves the literature within the broader context of culture, economics, and politics that surround its creation and perception. So this approach it recognizes that literary works are not isolated entities but are integrally woven to the fabric of societal structures. So by examining this work or by examining the economic, the cultural and political influences at place during the writing and reception of a work. And sociological criticism this seeks to uncover the implicit connections between literature and the larger social dynamics, offering insights to how these factors shape and are reflected in the narrative. So let's take a look about the work of Victor Hugo, which is The Last Circle. So Victor Hugo was born on February 26, 1802 at Alpines upon France and died on May 22, 1815. So he is the poet, writer, novelist, and dramatist who was the most important the French Romantic writers. So next, let's may call on Miss Arbishane Abaigar to discuss about the synopsis of this work.
So, good day everyone. So, my name is Arvishane D. Abaygar and I will report the Les Miserables. So, this is the synopsis of the story. So, Les Miserables is set in the Parisian underworld. The protagonist, Jean Valjean is sentenced to prison for 19 years for stealing a loaf of bread. After his release, Valjean plans to rob Monsignor Mariel and Saint like bishop but cancels his plan. However, he forfeits his parole by committing a minor crime, and for this crime, Valjean is hunted by the police inspector Javert. Valjean eventually reforms and becomes under the name of M. Madeleine, a successful businessman, benefactor, and mayor of Northern Town. To save an innocent man, Valjean gives himself up and is imprisoned in Toulon. He escapes and adopts Cosette, an illegitimate child of a poor woman, Fantine. Cosette grows up and falls into love with Marius, who is wounded during the revolutionary fight. Valjean rescues Marius by means of flight through the sewers of Paris. Cosette and Marius marries a Valjean reveals his past. And then the story has been filmed several times and made into a musical by the composer Claude Michel, Somberge, and librettist Alain Boublil, opening in the 1980 Paris. The English version was released in 1985 and the Broadway version followed 2 years later. Next po. So, The Les Miserables is a great humanitarian work that encourages compassion and hope in the face of adversity and injustice. Hugo wrote Les Miserables with nothing less than a literary and political revolution in mind. Les Miserables plays Hugo's style of imaginative realism is set in an artificially created human hell that emphasizes the three major predicaments of the 19th century. Next, Alan. So, analysis of Les Miserables using sociological criticism. So, Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, viewed through the lens of sociological criticism, serve as a powerful exploration of the structural inequalities and injustices inherent in the 19th century French society. Hugo intricately weaves a narrative that exposes the harsh realities of class struggle, illuminating the disparities between the privileged and the oppressed. Through characters like Jean Valjean and Fantine, the novel portrays the impact of systematic injustices, reflecting the dehumanizing effect of poverty and flaws in the justice system. The backdrop of historical events such as the June rebellion further underscores the interconnected of individual experiences with the broader societal forces. Hugo's critique extend to the role of education as both a tool of social mobility and of reflection of systematic limitation. Les Miserables stands as a sociological commentary inviting readers to confront the societal structure that perpetuate inequality and consider the potential for transformative change. So, I think, and according to our research, the theme of the story is that it is concerned with the social issues in the 19th century urban France. And Victor Hugo, the writer, uses the Les Miserables to deliver critiques of wealth distribution, the injustice system, industrialism, and republicanism. So, many of the characters in the novel are victims of injustice who are unable to seek recompense through traditional channels. And Jean Valjean, as a former convict, he's scorned because of his mistakes. So the reason why Victor Hugo write this story is that to give the readers a different point of view about justice, so that because that injustice is real and been happening for a long time, and that there were people who are suffering because of these injustices. Next slide po. Thank you for listening. That would be all. I hope that you've learned something from our report.